Hey you guys, welcome back to Reptile Mythbusters. So for anyone who's new and didn't see the previous episode, I'm doing a series of different myths that my followers have sent to me on Instagram and myths that I've personally heard to bust about reptiles. So things that people often hear about reptiles that aren't actually true. So the one for today is actually a very common one. People who own snakes hear this a lot more than you would imagine, and that is that your snake is sizing you up to eat you. I get asked a lot, like, aren't you worried he's going to size you up one day? This kind of plays on the last video, so I would watch that one because it also has some good points. But today we're going to talk specifically about snakes sizing you up. So I've heard some people say that this myth goes back really far and that people have been believing this myth for a really long time. But in more recent times, I think the myth goes back to a simple Tumblr post that essentially talks about a woman who has a large pet python. The python she lets sleep with her, it's her friend, it lays in bed with her, and it stops eating. So she takes it to the vet, and the vet tells her that the snake has not been eating and has been lying next to her in bed because it's saving up its energy and it is sizing her up and getting ready to eat her. Essentially, it's clearing its body out, just like Solomon's doing right now on the floor, to clearing its body out so it can eat you. So most people take it out of context. At the end of the story, it's like a parable and it says, never trust a snake, don't turn your back on a snake, they will betray you. That's essentially the moral of the story. So it's taken really out of context, but that piece has been taken to show that snakes size people up. So amazingly enough, like I stated in my last video, a lot of people actually say this about ball pythons. And Leela, this is my female ball python, she's about 2 years old, and she's actually a really big ball python. There are bigger, but she's a pretty hardy ball python. And so a lot of people ask if I'm worried that Leela will eventually size me up. The issue with this would be for Leela, at least, that she would have to be big enough to eat me. Leela is not physically large enough to eat me. So that's the first problem with when people ask me the question of am I worried that the snake is sizing me up to eat me, is usually that the snake that they're referring to is too small to eat me. And again, refer to my last video for myths about snakes eating. Alrighty, so the second, Alrighty, so the second issue is going to be with what kind of hunters snakes are. This is Toro. She is my female bull snake. If you've ever seen videos of her on Instagram, she is the insane wild eater, and she's the one that hisses and rattles her tail a lot. So I thought she'd be a good snake to have out for this segment. So snakes are sit and wait predators. They're ambush hunters. So that means that they hunker down, they find a spot where they're going to sit and wait, and when something comes by, they take that opportunity to eat. They're not strategic hunters. They don't have like a hunting mentality like maybe a wolf would, where they will track their prey and stalk them and catch them and eat them. Snakes will take what comes in front of them, and as long as they can fit their mouth around it and it fits in their body, they're going to eat it. But snakes sit and wait for their prey. They do not strategize, such as measuring one up. They also, in the wild, they don't know when their next meal is coming, so they don't stop eating to plan for a bigger meal, because they're not sure where their next meal is going to be. So being opportunistic eaters, they're going to eat what they can get when they can get it. So they're not going to turn down a meal in captivity unless they're really not hungry. They're not doing it waiting for something better. Alright, so the final issue with this myth is if snakes are able to measure and size up their prey, or size us up, they have to have a way to be able to measure. And there's no way to say this without sounding condescending, but snakes can't measure in feet or meters or inches or centimeters. They don't have an idea of length or like that their body is a certain amount. I can't even think of a way to say this without making people who believe this myth sound stupid, because they don't think that way, other than that's not going to fit in my mouth, or that's going to fit in my mouth. They can't lie alongside something and, like, think about it. Like, it's either that thing can fit in my mouth or that thing cannot fit in my mouth. It's not, let me take a second to see. Like, even Bandit, who has, like, clear tick marks on her body, can't tell the distance between each tick mark and such. And then another issue that I just thought of, what prey item is just going to let a snake lay down beside it and measure it up? No prey items, so there's no reason a snake would ever even have the ability to do this. Like, you think a rabbit's just going to be like, oh yeah, sir, that's cool, just lay down next to me and see if you can eat me. Like, no, that's just, it's not how nature works. So if snakes never had the ability to do that in nature, there's no reason for them to all of a sudden convert in captivity to eating people and learning how to size them up. It doesn't make sense. There are also very, I don't even know if there are recorded cases of snakes eating their owners in captivity. It's usually wild snakes and the person in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now that Solomon is all clean from pooping on the carpet, he just wants to say thank you guys for tuning in and for watching our videos. We both greatly appreciate it. I'm sorry if anything that I say comes off as rude or controversial, but a lot of reptile myths are controversial. I just thought today's was not very controversial because it's just not true. Leave any questions you guys have in the comments or any other myths that you'd like me to bust in the comments. I'm always open to new video ideas, so thank you for watching. Don't forget to like it and subscribe it, and we will see you guys next week.